pursue the way that you want to live. It doesn't have to be in a certain box that someone else is giving you. It's a very important value that I think people should remember and actively pursuing it.
This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good morning, Shlomo Freud. Previously, episode 1969 of the 12-Minute Convos podcast. It's been just 2 years, 28 days, and 13 hours since we last had that conversation. That was then, this is now. Shlomo, how are you doing today?
Hello, Angel. Wow, you keep track. I'm very surprised you said that.
Yeah, it's been a bit. Thankfully, I've spoken with you after that, right? It wasn't just, hey, that was that, and I never spoke with you again, because I am fascinated by what you do at freefinancialself.com, the work you put in there, and the way you share your story and integrate financial teachings, even investing amongst that. So amazing audience. Again, definitely a plug for what Shlomo is doing. Check out freefinancialself.com. Yeah. What's up? So what's the update? What's new?
What's new? So you before this recording, you sent me the previous episode to listen to, and I listened to it about 2 hours ago, and thought that things. So I still do what I do. It's just that they're changed. It's just different.
Are you still living in the yurt?
I still live in a yurt. That haven't changed. Right. We've done a trip since then. We've been to Sri Lanka for a few months. We've been to Italy. We've been to, I don't remember exactly what date was the last recording, but we've been to Portugal. I don't remember if it was before or after.
Okay. It was the 12th of December. Of course, I remember the 12th, right? But it was the 12th of December, 2017.
Maybe it was just after we came back from... Anyway, my daughter is not 2 years old anymore. She's 4 now. Amazingly. And we spoke about how she's going to grow up and have more experiences with her traveling and doing workations. And indeed, that happened. And that was marvelous. It was amazing just to see what she gets from learning from everything around her. So that's been a wonderful journey. And I still do Free Financial Self. It did evolve into a more focused business and service. I since then started publishing my updates, as you've mentioned, which became not only my personal financial updates, but also lifestyle and life updates. So things evolved, and I feel much more confident about that. And that's the right way for me to share my knowledge with my audience and listeners. Basically.
What about the podcast that you were doing with Mike? Did you all continue that, or is it shelved?
No, it's okay. The thing is that I still have my company in China, but I'm more and more away from China, so it wasn't as engaging for me as it used to be naturally. So now there is another host and another producer, and he's the one doing it, and I'm happy that it still continues, of course, just not under me and Mike.
I've found when you travel that the effects of what you experience is delayed. So you get to Israel and everything that you've experienced by living in China, it takes time for certain things to set in. Have you had that experience?
So I feel that my perspective is very diverse. As example, people speak in Israel about pollution, and this is not to say that pollution is okay, but after living in China for 3 years, and there's a new gas platform in Israel they just initiated, and people are complaining about it. I'm like, okay, so the pollution is like one average day in Beijing. So I'm not that, but they're terrified about it. So it gives you a very, very different perspective of what's going on in the world. So I found that very interesting.
Is it an appreciation as well, or does it extend your gratitude, the thankfulness that you have?
I'm very grateful that I can do what I can do, of course, and that I have those perspectives. I'm kind of I don't know if the right the right word would be hyper learning, but it's so diverse, and it's not, of course, focused in one thing. It's from getting these different understanding from different places, so which I like very much.
I'm always fascinated by a twin. I wonder if the other half, well, from a birth perspective, is doing exactly the same or the total opposite of the other twin. So you are a twin.
Yeah.
It's your sister, right?
Yeah.
Is she traveling the way you travel, or is she a home person?
So she likes to travel as much as I do, but she's not doing it as often because of different reasons. So I'd say she has the same spirit. She just currently not doing it as often.
All right, all
But we
right.
definitely share that passion. And it's also a different kind of traveling, by the way.
Explain that, please. Expand on that.
So I have a passion to go and do long-term traveling and going, relax to a long time to a place and kind of experience it. Now, it's not to say that she doesn't want to do it, but so far what she's done are more classic, shorter experiences and shorter trips, which is what she's leaning towards to more. So that's the main difference I see.
She's vacationing. You are on a type of an adventure learning. And is that one of the ways you learn? And that's what you've been able to open up in your life? The getting in there, how long it takes for you to be saturated into something, and then it's yours. Have you experienced that?
Oh yeah, that's an inherent part of the travel. Sometimes it's just living like a regular person there. That's interesting. That's the way to see how is the street like, how is the local store, the local restaurant in the street that we're staying in. At some point, it's greeting the same people every morning. That happens in several places. And I'm not so much a person of going to tourist attractions. I might do those from time to time, but many of the times we just say, no, that's not for us, and we'll do something completely different. So I would not run necessarily to TripAdvisor and check the
Wow.
10 most interesting places to go. Maybe I'll go to one. I don't know. There's no rule there, but it's not my first preference.
Do you enjoy the interaction with people more than places when you are on your trips?
I Good question. Yes, I think I very much prefer nature. I very much prefer people. And at the last, a few months ago, I thought of what is if someone would give me a wish that can be instantly fulfilled, what would that be? What would that be? And I thought that what I want is to know instantly the 10 most common languages in the world, because that would open up so many opportunities and so many interesting things, which I cannot do. I cannot do right now. And I learn languages on and off. You can read in the blog. It's never easy, but I still want to make progress in that, because that's what connects you to people at the end of the day.
The ability to communicate. You are a married guy, right? In the midst of everything, yes, your daughter has been influenced by the travel. How has your wife come out on the other side of the traveling?
She she's more than supports that. She likes that very much. It's a joint decision. It's something that we both like to do, and we also discovered that after a few months, we also like to go back home for a little while, and then again we got the urge to go again.
In the midst of everything, there's the concept and the conversation of death. We are faced with it. It's something we're all going to meet. How do you interact with that conversation, Shlomo? The possibility that it could be today, it could be tomorrow. Is it something that's in the forefront, or you put that on the back shelf of your thoughts?
So I do cope with it on the matter of coping with the elderly parents. So that will happen someday. Of course, I hope not soon. And well, they're not going to be around, but I do think about it. I think what life will be afterwards. I'm thinking what would happen to me if I feel that's a hard question. Of course, I want to live very long, but I feel that I also I feel fulfilled if God forbid that's going to happen to me also. Wow, that's a hard one.
It's one of those questions. it's not one of the questions that you can smoothly get by, I think, because it's something our culture just does not interact with regularly. It seems as though it's a global phenomenon, that it's one thing that's for sure is death. Nevertheless, we
And
attempt
taxes.
to compartmentalize it, right? And hide it.
Yep.
But for sure, it's one of those things. So I'm glad that we opened up that conversation. My friend, I cannot tell you how much of a pleasure this is to have the opportunity to jump on a call, which is, we're almost on the other side of the world from me. But to know that you've not given up, Shlomo, and that you've continued to press, maintaining the values that you set high, family, integrity, and to be an entrepreneur in the midst of the challenges that come with being an entrepreneur, the hours. I appreciate you tremendously
Thank you.
because it is inspiring and motivating. And these are the stories that help us to keep on going. So thank you for that. My friend, in closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Just pursue the way that you want to live. It doesn't have to be in a certain box that someone else is uh, is giving you. It's a very important value that I think people should remember and actively pursuing it. It's not just say one day. It's plan to do it. Or how I plan to do it. How to do it.
Shlomo, again, a great pleasure. I treasure. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. This podcast is produced by Pod Edits. Visit podedits.com for professional podcast publishing.